In this video, I'm going to cover 10 habits of our highly successful clients. They are things that you can do straight away and add into your day-to-day life, and they will be game changers when you get them right and consistent. So first off, we have to plan your breakfast. Now, we've covered these, the first three on the podcast recently, so definitely check that out, Talking Tough podcast. But the first one is to plan in your breakfast. Now, if you don't have a plan, and that could even be a plan to skip breakfast till later in the day, to break your fast, maybe at lunchtime instead. However, if you don't have a plan, you're going to likely fall for hunger and grab snacks that maybe aren't ideal, or rush down a breakfast just because you think you have to eat. So planning something in advance, especially keeping it within a calorie total of up to 200, 300 calories, then it doesn't feel like you've overeaten first thing in the morning, straight after waking up, and also can set you up for the morning and actually make you more productive than having a lull around 10, 11 o'clock like many of us are used to. Next up is to track and maybe increase, if needed, our water intake across the day. If you're someone who doesn't drink a lot of water, it's probably quite a good idea to have a bottle with you throughout the day and refill that, just to up your water intake. And especially after waking up, you've probably spent 6, 7, 8 hours dehydrating overnight. Maybe start your day with a glass of water, just so at least you kick off that good habit. Staying hydrated is going to aid us in being sharp at work. It's going to obviously help us in exercise as well, so feel less dehydrated after exercise, especially if we sweat, as well as functioning cells properly within the body so that we can actually operate and feel good about ourselves. There's stats about dehydration, how it affects performance in athletes. So just think about that when you're actually doing a day-to-day, your tasks. If you're not hydrated, you're likely going to operate at a subpar level. So here's the thing, how many of us actually walk on a daily basis as a habit? Probably not many of us, okay? We either get up, get in the car, go to work, sit down at work, get back in the car, back home, sit down, eat, watch TV, go to bed, repeat for 5 days. Hopefully there's a bit of exercise in there. But however, making walking, so daily walk breaks as a habit that you do consistently well for 5, 6, 7 days, if you can do it every day, you're going to feel so much better, not just for getting outdoors, but also for moving and actually getting some blood flowing around the body, get some oxygen into you. Now, if you stay sedentary for long periods of time, you're going to feel, and we're going to move on to one of these habits as well, you're going to feel like you stiffen up. A lot of the people who do really well with us actually put a habit of walking and tracking up to 10,000 steps and more if they can do it per day. Now, the 10,000 numbers there is a round figure to shoot for, but it is proven that if you walk more, you're not only going to obviously burn calories, you're going to feel better, especially combining it with something that you like doing, such as listening to a podcast. The Talking Tough podcast I've mentioned before, obviously, is a good place to start. Chatting with a friend, potentially going with a friend and walking on your lunch break, but also not just limiting it to 20 minutes at lunch, but maybe putting it in the morning, lunchtime, and evening if possible. Daily walk breaks are huge for progress, so putting those into your day is going to make a big difference for sure. Here's one that many people who are really successful in their results do well, and ironically it's you're watching a video on a bit of tech now, right? Your smartphone potentially. It's actually unplugging from the technology, so putting things aside, to screens, time where you're actually distracted and your mind is focused on what you're consuming, versus actually putting into real world things, spending time with other people, chatting, conversing, and actually maybe reading some paper books versus scrolling and reading digital print. That's a really big thing. So unplugging from actually having time in the day to unplug from your technology and distract yourself away from the distractions that we see every day, right? We need to go back to the old school almost and do that, and you will feel better for it. There's also ways you can limit down, and this comes on to later habits about sleep, but limit the effect of technology on you later in the evening. So things like blue blocking glasses and having that blue light filter on your phone come up, so that if you do look at your screen, you're not going to have those blue light effects on the brain and the body when you look to go to sleep. And out of all the 10 habits that I'm going to cover in this video, this is potentially one of the most powerful ones, definitely for the mind, and it's to try and fall in love with the process of change versus always looking at the end result. Now, from a weight loss perspective, the weight on the scale weight is going to fluctuate, and your actual your mindset, your emotions are going to be related to that number on the scale. If you were thinking about a process, the habits that you need to put in place. Ironically, this video is about those habits that you can put into place straight away, but focusing on what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and actually enjoying the exercise that you do, enjoying learning how to cook better meals versus always looking at the scale and going, I need to hit that weight, that target is my target. There's a short-term, there's almost a limited capacity that you can actually focus on just one goal, one end goal, versus actually looking at the whole process and enjoying it. So what I'm trying to get at this point is that the people who do best are those who really get into the process and enjoy it and actually almost forget about the goal. The goal is kind of the weight loss, if it were that goal, is the byproduct. The actual emphasis is on the training sessions and enjoying them, the nutrition, the challenge that it brings to maybe try and eat better when they've got years of bad habits. That's what you need to look at and actually fall in love with, and the results will come as a byproduct. Now, this habit is one that people really struggle to get right. It's to prioritize and optimize your sleep. We all do it. Like I said earlier in this video, the technology is there to distract us and take hours of our sleep away from us, especially late at night. You're scrolling, you're looking at things, your brain is working overtime to process all this information that we're presented that 3 inches away from our face at night. When you try to wind down for the night and you see something, you're likely going to be thinking about that and trying to fall asleep. Now, it's not just the duration of sleep we need to look at, it's actually the quality of sleep. That goes to down to the room temperature, what you eat and consume before sleep, how much liquid you consume, because you don't want to be getting up and down all night, obviously, to go to the toilet. That will definitely inhibit your quality sleep. So the environment, the blackout blinds you might want to install in your house to get a good, nice sort of dark room to sleep in. How you wake up as well. So is it a crazy sort of shocking alarm, or is it gradual wake up through maybe light or a softer alarm? All these things go together to make you almost sleep better and become a well-rounded person for the day ahead. We all know how we are when we've had a really poor night's sleep. You may be grouchy, you don't really make the best choices in terms of food, you probably skip exercise because you feel really lethargic and tired. So it comes back to the night before and actually planning yourself ahead of time, planning before bed and planning yourself some real good habits in to then get to bed, have a good sleeping environment, and then actually try and soundly sleep so you can hit the next day with vigor and purpose and feel better about yourself. Now, this habit is one that we really try and get our members to open their eyes to at first, and some of them who join us have never lifted weights before, but lifting weights then building muscle is going to be probably one of your most impactful habits that you could create for longevity, for not just feeling good but looking great and actually operating on a day-to-day basis. There's many things throughout that life that we need muscle for. Not only just to hold ourselves up, right? The skeletal system needs muscle attached to it to move and hold ourselves up. But if we build muscle, and we're not going to be building muscle like Arnie, ladies especially, you will not get bulky. The guys have tried for years to get bulky naturally, and it's not an easy process. So don't worry about lifting. Putting some resistance training through your body and lifting weights is going to make you super bulky straight away. But actually it's going to create nice, dense, strong muscle that gives you a shape to your body. Great shape, to be honest, because most people need extra shape. We're all pretty, again, going back to technology, we're pretty posturally poor. So getting great shape through lifting weights, and also obviously the extra calorie burn through the training sessions, lifting weights, is going to really benefit you and actually catapult the results versus just doing cardio or versus doing light weights, loads of reps. There needs to be a stimulus of heavy weights to your relative strength and obviously a progression to that. But lifting weights and building muscle on your body is going to be a huge, huge impactful thing to do on a regular basis. And this is what a lot of our highly successful clients do. They lift weights correctly and they get stronger and stronger, and their goal is to be strong, the strongest version of themselves they can be. And this definitely shows for those people who've stuck it to the long term, of how they've almost set themselves up for life. So lifting weights, building muscle should be a key priority in your success. The good thing about these habits is this next one can be just stacked with getting outside and walking. So having time to be outside in the fresh air and get nice clean oxygen into your body will feel great. Time of year, probably not right for the sunlight side of things. Okay, we're probably grey clouds, drizzle, rain. However, especially in the summer, could get outside in that, get that vitamin D in your skin. But at least getting out, even if it's cold, just put your coat on, hat on, gloves on, walk outside, breathe in that fresh air. You're going to feel so much better and clearer for doing so. And obviously, you're going to be hopefully walking there rather than just standing still and breathing. So couple that with a break, a walking break every couple of hours, and you'll feel so much better for it. Now, the next habit is to stay mobile. Funnily enough, we stack it again. Walking and regularly moving and exercising and building muscle will make you feel more mobile. Funnily enough, your body will love the movement side of things. But if you're someone who really has to sit down for 8 hours a day at work and can't get up or at least do some purposeful movement, then staying as mobile as you can will not just make you feel better and have less injuries and less aches and pains, but you'll also be able to promote more blood flow around the body. So putting into practice a mobility routine, it could even just be 5 minutes a day, right? So if you're someone to get up and put the kettle on to make a tea or coffee in the morning, whilst that's boiling, whilst the tea bag's brewing in the cup, maybe doing a small mobility flow for 2, 3, maybe 5 minutes each day will set you up for the day. It'll make you feel much better and also be pretty much complementary to any exercise or any movement you do. And lastly, something that successful clients always do is put mindfulness practice in. Now, this can be simple as breathing for a couple of minutes. Yes, we breathe obviously every day, but we don't focus on the breathing. Now, that means nice controlled few seconds in, few seconds out, maybe 6 to 8 breaths max per minute. Ideally, the least amount of breaths you can do without forcefully holding your breath. Just nice controlled breathing to try and take your mind away from all the craziness that might be happening or the things you've got to do, the hectic lifestyle. So this could be also coupled with getting outside, walking, getting fresh air and breathing at the same time. Funny enough, that's another habit stack that we can put into play. But what we find is people there's many ways to obviously practice mindfulness. It could be journaling, it could be sitting down and getting one of those adult colouring books and just colouring in the lines, as we did when we were a kid, trying to get the colours in the lines. It's all something to try and take your mind away from all the stresses of everyday life. But breathing is probably the most simplest and free way to try and practice breaking your mind away from everything else that's going on. And it definitely helps with lowering stress levels. It can actually skyrocket results if you add this in as a daily habit. So out of all those 10 habits there, so they are some or all of the things that our highly successful clients do on an almost daily basis. And they're things that you can literally input into your life straight away. You can maybe have a little bit of an audit and find out where your biggest weaknesses are that you let yourself down. Are you drinking enough water? Are you just going through the day fueled on coffee? Or are you being sedentary so much that the only time you get out is to walk to the car and then when you get home, walk to your door? Think about how it affects you in your day-to-day life and maybe just work really simply on inputting one habit that I've covered today into your life for a couple of weeks. Make it stick, make it almost stack it with something else. Like I said about flicking the kettle on, practice some mobility routines or flows whilst your brew is going in the morning. That's going to make things so much easier to start, and actually long and short of it, down the line you're going to feel like these become automated and become obviously habits. The benefit of doing them will be tenfold. You will not feel like you have to think about drinking water or have to get outside and do your walks because they're already planned into the day. Have a think about those, see how it will affect you in your day-to-day life and see what you can put in from, say, today, really, and make that change. Now, if you've liked some of the topics we've covered on this video, then definitely check out our podcast, Talking Tough podcast we also video that for YouTube, so it's on our YouTube channel, which you can find loads more content videos on, as well as our Facebook page, our Instagram, whichever media you feel like you want to consume. Obviously, unplug from that a good time, remember. But just check out what we're doing content-wise and just see what relates to you. And we'd love to hear sort of your feedback on some of the things we do, some of the content you'd love to maybe see and hear from us. And until then, cheers. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.